Luck does not exist. The only thing that exists is the grind. Working at your craft day in and day out. Individuals that are successful, some people say that they got lucky. Quote unquote lucky. Nah. They are the ones who worked on their craft and every second for them counted. They worked on their craft for a year, 5 years, 10 years, 15, 30 years before they got where they got.
I'm going to tell you what people don't want to tell you. Why you stop is because you're lazy. It's because you don't mind getting bad grades in school. It doesn't bother you enough to be mediocre, to be average, to sit around and watch people do great things. You don't mind it. So there's your answer. Your answer is you don't care enough about yourself, so you don't stay in the fight. Stay hard.
But guess what? The world isn't what mommy and daddy told you. The world is exactly going to be what it's going to be, with or without the way you thought it was going to be. A ton of is going to change. The world changes every goddamn day. Right now, what you need to recognize is you can afford to.
Understanding the best version of yourself is when you're at your weakest point of your life. When you're ultimately being challenged. When you really don't know what direction to go, but you know you just gotta go. It doesn't have to necessarily be handed to you. In fact, it shouldn't be handed to you at all. You should be prepared to fight day in and day out. You should already have on your armor, ready to fight, ready to go. Being prepared for whatever may come your way.
As long as you don't surrender, as long as you don't give up, as long as you don't quit, then you haven't failed. It just means you've made a temporary tactical retreat. It means you've made a brief withdrawal so that you can regroup with the attack.
You may look at everybody else in the world and look at their success stories, but do you have any idea how they got there? Sometimes people get an opportunity and they go a little bit faster than you hope to go. But because they're moving a little bit faster, you may be moving a little bit slower. Even if you're moving slow, just keep moving.
If you rebound from a failure quicker than anyone you know, rebound quicker. Successful people rebound fast. And while they're rebounding, they're actually learning from the horrible experience they had. Transform the experience. Transform the experience from something you call a failure, something painful, into, wow, I got that one out of the way. I learned from it. I know what to do next.
You've got to develop your skill set. You've got to take what you have now, and if that's crawling, then crawl. But you drag yourself ever forward to a vision of yourself that is so clear and so specific that nothing could knock you off your path, because you, my friend, know exactly where you're going. You're willing to pay whatever price it takes to get there.
What does is your work ethic, your grind, your focus, your determination, your faith, your perseverance, and that will that says, I am a champion. Stay focused and execute.
So everybody goes, how do you do that? You know exactly how to do that. You know exactly. It's not a magic trick. There's nothing I talk about in that book that's a magic trick. It's all back down to a very primitive mindset of we just have to do. It's like breathing. Breathing becomes normal. Like we didn't know that we're doing it. That's how you have to live your life. When that alarm clock goes off at 4 or 5 in the morning, your mind says no. You just say, this is what we do. It's what we do now. Because to get to where you want to go, the amount of pain involved, I'm not saying physical, I'm not saying you got to break yourself off. The amount of mental pain of how many times you're going to have to do something that you don't want to do to get to where you want to go is going to be, there's going to be more times you do something that you don't want to do than you are going to want to do it. And that's your new norm. That's your new norm. So then it's like breathing. And then once you do this over and over and over again, it becomes like breathing. I don't want to live this lifestyle, but to get to the other side of this, I have to. So if you really want it, you realize what trying is and what trying is not.
This intense focus on one goal is not easy, but it is all important. Our Orison Swett Marden wrote, "The giants of the race have been men and women of concentration who've struck sledgehammer blows in one place until they have accomplished their purpose. The successful men and women of today are those of one over, mastering idea, one unwavering aim, men and women of single and intense purpose." Marden also said that every great man has become great. Every successful man has succeeded in proportion as he has confined his powers to one particular channel. Single-minded concentration in the direction of your dreams will intensify your desires and increase your emotional drive toward your goal. This intensity of concentration will activate the law of attraction and begin to attract people and opportunities into your life to help you to achieve your goal. The more you think about your goal, the more it will come to dominate and direct your life. The more you think about it, the more rapidly you will move toward it, and it will move toward you.
You're already in pain. Get a reward for it. Like, you're already in pain. So at the end of the day, everything is already messed up. So why would you go through all that pain and not get something for it? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense to put all those hours in. Okay, yeah, it was football, but it doesn't make sense to put all those hours in and not transfer those hours to something else. It doesn't make sense not to recycle the pain and get wealth or a successful life, a successful spouse, like whatever, have kids, whatever it is. And so for me, just going through my go-through, I was like, it can't end here. Like, bro, it can't end here. I've worked too hard. I've read the books. I've gone to the conferences. I went to the classes. I got the degrees. Like, it can't end with just life is going to deal me this hand, you know? And so I truly feel, and I don't want to promote gambling, you know, but I gambled, you know, as a young adult to make money. And I watched guys who had a royal flush lose because of the giddy and the excitement. I'm like, oh, he got something. You know what I'm saying? Okay, take what I have and leave. But I also watched people who had nothing in their hand with that poker face actually act as if they had a royal flush and win. And so I learned early, like, yo, it doesn't matter if you grow up rich. You still got to play your hand. It's not like life says, all right, you rich, so you're not going to have any, your parents will never get cancer. You know, nobody in your family will ever have multiple sclerosis. Like, you'll never get COVID. You're rich. It doesn't work like that. Like, you still have to do life regardless of how you come into life. And I think some people feel, well, if you come into life and everything is great, then that's the way you live life. But no, it doesn't matter. If you come in great, if you come in poorly, it does not matter. You have to do life. And if you're smart, you do life on your terms and you don't let life make you do it on its terms.
Great men and women are those who absolutely believe that they are put on this earth to do something wonderful with their lives. They have a vision of something greater or better than their current circumstances. Personal greatness means having a sense of destiny and a conviction that your thoughts and your imagination are the only real limits to your possibilities. William James said, compared to what we ought to be, we are only half awake. We are making use of only a small part of our physical and mental resources. Stating the thing broadly, the human individual thus lives far within his limits. He possesses powers of various sorts which he habitually fails to use. The founder of Success magazine, Orison Swett Marden, once said, there are powers inside of you which, if you could discover and use, would make of you everything you ever dreamed or imagined you could become. In a 5-year study of leaders reported on in his book, Leaders, Warren Bennis discovered that each of them consciously avoided the comfort zone by continuously setting higher goals. They never allowed themselves to become complacent. They lived their lives fully extended, always striving to be and do more. To develop unshakable self-confidence, you need to see yourself and think of yourself as a leader, and to do what leaders do. You need to stretch yourself toward the outermost boundaries of your potential. You need to set goals that draw out of you the very best that is in you. You need to work toward objectives that cause you to feel a sense of mastery and peak performance.